Ron, we just played a cut from Ryan Presley, who said that he was concerned after that awful outing he had and that he went to work on his game. And one of the things he did is he went to Ian Happ and had Happ give him a report on what you look at as a hitter when he's breaking down tape, what he's seeing if he evaluates Presley. And he said that he got a lot of really good, helpful information. I love that he went to him. I love that he had no problem providing him with his assessment. I just think that's the sort of thing that can go on within teams, between teammates, that you don't get a chance to hear about or see very often, but really can be an impactful way of assisting each other.
Boy, you're not kidding. And we don't hear about that enough, Mike. But if you're really wanting to know what it is you're doing on a field, put yourself or get somebody who is playing against you. Get your own scouting report, what teams are scouting you and how they're looking at you and what they think your vulnerable points are and your strengths and weaknesses. It just goes to show you how and why a guy like Presley's been in the league as long as he has.
Right.
He's played on championship teams, and no matter what was said early, his knee was barking bad. He got it trained. But at the end of the day, you never heard any of that. You never heard excuses. He wasn't pitching great. So he went to a quality hitter and got the evaluation. It's a great thing to hear. It's one of those things that, you go, that's a baseball guy, right? That's a guy that is all about playing our game and succeeding and doing whatever it's going to take to be good at what he does. And, it's a big tip of the cap to me. I love hearing the inside baseball stuff where the younger guys that are playing now are all in and all engaged. And I think we've got quite a few of those guys, including the two you're talking about, Presley and Ian.
So did any Twins pitchers back in the day pull you aside ever to say, all right, scout me, tell me what I'm doing wrong? Or did you ever have this experience, whether it was the Twins or any other team that you played on, Coom?
I would have, who I would go to? I would go to a pitching coach, because sometimes the player, they're kind of locked into what they're doing, but I would definitely scout myself and discuss it. Different teams pitched me different. And I would go into New York and they would pitch me inside constantly. And, I'd end up breaking 3 bats, but I'd end up hitting a home run or 2 in the series. So, it was one of those things. Now, other teams pitched me away, played me away, wanted me to hit into the defense because I could hit the ball the other way. So there were different, ideas for different teams. I always felt like, and what I heard is I didn't handle the ball inside as well as I did away, especially as I got deeper into the count. I was very good at covering the ball away and getting a base hit or shooting the ball the other way for an extra base hit. I was more vulnerable inside. Those are the things that I would ask a pitching coach or, get the scouting report on myself. And it's great, though. I just love the whole idea of it. It's really good.
We talked a little bit about the idea that PCA hit another home run yesterday, only this time he hit the 9th highest pitched homer in all of baseball. I think he's hit the 2 lowest pitched homers already this year. Yeah. I mean, the guy, it's extraordinary that he has the power he has when you just eyeball him.
Yep. Agree.
But to be able to do it, obviously you want to do it in the zone, but he's done it outside. I mean, it's crazy. The bat speed must be incredible to be able to go up, down, and in the zone. It's crazy.
Well, there's a couple things that have to happen to do what he's doing. One, when you commit, and this is one of the great things. This was a Don Mattingly thing that I took from reading an article about Don Mattingly when he was playing. He made a comment and said, Mike, and this is an odd one, but he said, I'm swinging and hitting the ball too often. That's what Don Mattingly said. And I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? I got nothing for hitting, right? I'm trying to get this thing figured out and go to the big leagues. What that meant is he was putting the ball in play too much. He needed to swing and miss more. And what that means is when you commit to swinging, swing and put your A swing on it. And if you swing and miss, you swing and miss. That's what I'm seeing with Pete. He's committing to a swing and swing, and let your athletic ability cover whatever that pitch is, cover it, right? So last night he got a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and way up the top of the zone, and he committed to swinging. He's been getting pitched up, so he's getting better and better at covering the ball up, getting his hands up above the ball and driving through the baseball instead of swinging up at it. And what does he do? He gets his hands up and covers that high fastball. To me, that's the taking that Don Mattingly quote from probably 93 or 92 and understanding what Don meant by that. That's what I see in Pete. He's committing to his swing. His swing is getting better and better as he's staying in the league longer and longer and working at it. And now we're seeing this young guy that's able to do things that most people go, well, how the hell did he do that? Right? But it's working, and he's doing it. And you got to tip your hat a lot to John Maley. I watched Johnny work with him a lot in spring training on covering pitches and using the whole field. That work is paying off.
This segment with Ron Coomer, sponsored by the all-new Toyota on Edens in Northbrook. Visit ToyotaOnEdens.com. All right, Coom, over the last 25 games, the Cubs bullpen has an ERA that is less than 1, I think 0.90. How much of that success is Craig Counsell pushing the right buttons and putting guys in positions to succeed? And now that he has gotten something going with the bullpen, who is the closer? Does it matter?
Well, I think he's done a very good job with his pen. And the pieces that the Cubs have brought in, like a Keller, even though he had a little command issue last night, but it got corrected through the help of Kelly, Tommy, and Keller, all kind of going to the mound and getting it figured out and succeeding in getting the game over with and getting his inning over with and doing what he needed to do. Even though it wasn't pretty, it was effective. And, we haven't seen that from him, so you don't expect that to be a common thing. Counts has always been known as handling his pen very well, very well. He had one of the best bullpens in baseball in Milwaukee for a long time, but he had big names. Now he doesn't have the big name closer, the big name setup guy, and it's still working out, right? So there's that factor that he is definitely pushing the right buttons and understanding how to deal with his pen and not overuse them and just use them the way they should be used. And then the other thing, too, is guys are, you've signed the right guys. They're doing their job. They're in the right position to succeed, and they're getting it done. Because of not being overused a lot. He just won't use certain guys, and he'll take what he gets on those games. And he's said that numerous times, when he just knows that you can't use a certain guy.
Jed talked this week, and it was interesting. He talked yesterday. He's kind of made the rounds a little bit. He spoke to John Heyman and Joel Sherman. They have a podcast in New York, and he talked about the PCA deal, etc. He talked on the MLB network, and he talked to the media in Chicago, and he has been very transparent about the Cubs being in the market for a starting pitcher and pitching. And it's interesting because it seems as if by doing that, he's letting everybody know, or not that teams don't know, I'm sure he's calling everyone, but they're looking in on everyone, they're checking everything out, and they would move quicker maybe than other teams want to, but they are going to make this move. And we were talking about it this morning a little bit. It's extraordinary what they've managed to do without Justin Steele all year, and with Shota being out, and he will be out for a couple more weeks. What? How ambitious do you expect them to be in terms of the quality of the kind of pitcher they bring in? And do you feel that this team? We've talked about it. I don't know if you guys do privately, Ron, but when they played Detroit, you felt like the difference maybe in that series was Detroit's got a reigning Cy Young who is an unbelievable talent in Skubal, and he won a game for them, and they won a game with Flaherty, who had a really good pitching outing that day.
Yep.
What is one more pitcher required? That, and obviously Shota coming back healthy.
Well, you get Shota back, and that's a big shot in the arm, a big positive shot in the arm. There's no doubt. But he's got to come back healthy, and he's got to come back the Shota that we had before.
Right.
So, that's why I think they're so, reluctant to speed him along and giving him plenty runway to get that hamstring, get himself healthy before he gets back on the field to perform in Wrigley Field or in the big leagues. I do believe Pat and I did discuss this after the Skubal game and going into the Skubal game, because you started looking and, when Detroit put Flaherty into that rotation, you went, well, what Flaherty are they going to get? Are they going to get the guy that was really good, or the guy that had some arm problems and command problems and all the issues he had in St. Louis? Well, he's had a little bit of both of that this season in Detroit, but it's definitely trending really well. Skubal is a game changer, and I've played on teams where you had a Roger Clemens on the mound, and it just changes the perspective of the other team. And I think when you have that guy, it is a big, big shot in the arm for your ball club, knowing, once every 5 days you're throwing up one of the best pitchers in the game. So I would say, after seeing what we've seen the last 2 weeks, with seeing some of the best pitching in the game, I'm going to see another one tonight.
Right.
That shows you what that means. It really does. And I think the Cubs will be, to make these kind of moves, though, Mike, we talk about this, and we're going after that. We need that. The other team has to be a yes, too. That's the difficult part. It takes two to tango, and that is not easy to get one of the elite guys, pitching arms, and make a move. It's just not an easy thing to do.
All right, Coon, what did you think about the lineup on Wednesday without PCA and Michael Busch in it? And did Brujan playing center field underscore the Cubs' need for a depth piece in the outfield?
Well, yeah, he definitely, there's two spots on the field that depth is outside of pitching on the position player side that stand out to me. Center field being number one, that's for sure. But, you got the young, star player in the making, so he's going to play almost every day, if not every day. So, yeah, there is a need out there, but for a day or two on an occasion, can you maneuver your outfield around and cover it? Yes. So that was fine. The other spot to me that's another issue is shortstop. What do you do at short? Dansby's played, if he's not played every game, he's played just about every game now at short. And he's the other guy that you've got to, you get concerned about, that he plays a lot of baseball and at a position that's very taxing. And, I think Counts made this statement. I heard secondhand. I wasn't there for it. But he's like, Dansby's playing. He's going to play, and he's going to play every day, and that's just the way it is, where they don't have room to take him out, and he's too valuable of a defender to take him out of the lineup. So those two spots, to me, are the keys that you got to keep those two guys healthy, and they're keys to being in a lineup every day because they're producing at a very high level at their spot.
We had a conversation about Cody Bellinger, about the fact that they traded Bellinger, and if they hadn't done that, what would this team look like? How would he be on this team? You would have solved the extra outfielder issue, but maybe Michael Busch isn't getting better, as hasn't improved in the same fashion because he doesn't get as much time, or maybe he's playing more second base. Maybe Horner could do
not playing second base.
Well, I'm just throwing out some opportunities for people.
He's just not a second baseman.
Yes, but I guess the bottom line would be you'd have more depth, but would you have the way PCA, you might give him a day off here and there because you know what I'm saying? Like you when you see the young players, and the other element here that I was talking to the boys about in the other room is they also have some really good outfielders that they will be able to bring up at the end of the year who could probably, one of those young guys could give you that cover that you're asking about with an extra outfielder.
Yeah, there's a lot there to talk about.
Yeah.
Here was the issue with Belly. Let's address the Belly thing. When you made the Michael Busch trade and you brought Michael in, and then you have PCA and you got Michael Busch, what that does is basically you've got to. Here's the question: do you want Bellinger or do you want Tucker? That's the question to me, because if you can't have both of those, because they all play the same position. So Belly's playing first and center field. So which guy is just basically going to be out? Well, PCA's not going to be out, with the ability he has. And now we're seeing that the work that they've done with Michael Busch and the work he's put in, he's turning himself into a really good quality big league player. So, in the regards of where does Belly play? Ian's playing every day in left. You've got a center fielder as a young person.
Yep.
So does Belly play right? Now he's going to play right field every day because you wanted Seiya to be your DH. So it was a position issue, I think, Mike. I love the idea of having Belly because he can do so many things and he's a quality player and runs a lot of pluses. But it was a position thing of, okay, if you got those pieces, where do they all play? And how do they get in there every day? That to me was the issue with Belly if you were going to go after Tucker.